Have you ever felt a strange connection to a time period you never lived through? Or perhaps wondered why certain challenges keep appearing in your life, as if they were written into your destiny long before your birth? What if I told you that the decade you were born in wasn't random at all, but a carefully orchestrated spiritual appointment? Welcome, beautiful souls, to a journey of profound self-discovery. Today, we're unlocking the hidden cosmic signature of your birth decade and how it shapes your spiritual mission on Earth. This isn't just another video, it's a portal to understanding the deepest patterns of your soul. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? You experience an inexplicable attraction to music, fashion, or cultural elements from a specific decade, perhaps even before you were born. That nostalgic feeling for a time you never physically experienced isn't coincidence, it's your soul remembering. According to the profound wisdom of Edgar Cayce, America's most documented psychic, the year and decade of your birth carries a specific vibrational frequency that resonates with your soul's journey. It's not merely a timestamp, it's a divine appointment, a cosmic contract you signed before entering this earthly plane. Each decade vibrates with unique spiritual tests and learnings. The 1950s, 1960s, 1970s and beyond, each 10-year window opens specific doorways for soul evolution and karma resolution. Your spirit chose this precise moment to incarnate because it needed exactly what that decade offered: its challenges, its wisdom, its collective experience. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you view your life's struggles and gifts, those unexplained fears, that talent that came so naturally, the relationships that feel centuries old. All of these connect back to the vibrational signature of your birth decade. Edgar Cayce revealed that incarnation is the soul's response to the call of consciousness. Your birth wasn't random. It was a sacred appointment, carefully calculated by spiritual guides who positioned you in the exact time frame where your soul could heal its ancient wounds and fulfill its higher purpose. Think about it. Why do certain historical periods fascinate you while others feel foreign? Why do some generational challenges feel like personal battles? The answer lies in the hidden code of your birth decade, a code we're about to begin deciphering. If these spiritual insights about birth decades and karma have resonated with your soul journey, hit the subscribe button to join our community of seekers exploring the hidden truths of consciousness and spiritual evolution. The magnetic pull that draws your soul to a specific decade is far more profound than cosmic coincidence. It's a vibrational resonance that operates on principles beyond our material understanding. Just as metal is drawn to a magnet, your soul was irresistibly attracted to the exact frequency of the historical moment you entered this world. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and reveal how this hidden truth manifests in generations we can observe. Edgar Cayce's revelations offer us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into this spiritual orchestration. He showed us that each incarnation represents a soul's deliberate response to the call of universal consciousness, a sacred agreement to experience exactly what we need for our evolution. Consider the profound journey of those born in the 1930s. These souls arrived during one of humanity's most challenging chapters, carrying the energetic imprint of reconstruction, unwavering discipline, and a deep sense of duty. This wasn't random timing. According to Cayce's wisdom, many of these souls were specifically incarnating to repair bonds that had been severed through conflict and pride in previous lifetimes. Their souls chose a decade marked by hardship precisely because it offered the exact conditions needed for their spiritual transformation. The impact of these choices extends through generations. Those who entered life during the 1940s came with a different mission. Their souls resonated with the decade's unique energy signature of restoration and rebuilding. Many had previously lived during times of domination and control, perhaps even as the dominators themselves. Their return during this pivotal decade wasn't punishment but opportunity, a deliberate choice to develop humility, learn to care genuinely for others, and reconnect with spiritual faith that had been lost during eras of conflict. This mindset shift reveals something remarkable about your own birth timing. The decade that welcomed your arrival wasn't arbitrary. It was preciously calculated to provide the perfect classroom for your soul's most crucial lessons. The challenges characteristic of your birth era weren't cosmic accidents, but deliberate spiritual assignments. Think about the revelations this brings to your personal narrative, the unexplained fears that have followed you since childhood, the innate talents that seem to come from nowhere, even the inexplicable attraction to certain historical periods. All can be understood as echoes from your soul's ongoing journey across multiple lifetimes. Your decisions in this life gain profound meaning when viewed through this lens. You're not just living randomly, you're actively working through spiritual curriculum that your soul selected before birth. The decade you incarnated into forms the perfect backdrop for this sacred work, with its unique collective experiences and challenges serving as the ideal environment for your personal growth. If you're resonating with these insights, write in the comments, "I recognize my soul's timeline." The mysterious attraction you feel towards certain eras might be more significant than you've realized. Let's explore how this spiritual blueprint unfolds for those who arrived in later decades. The 1950s souls entered during a period of unprecedented material expansion, and this was no cosmic accident. Many of these spirits, according to Cayce's revelations, had participated in ancient economic empires, perhaps as merchants in Alexandria, bankers in Venice, or traders along the Silk Road. Their current incarnation presents them with a profound spiritual paradox: the challenge of living amidst material abundance while developing authentic inner wealth. This paradox creates a unique journey for the 1950s generation. Their mindset often reflects a deep internal conflict, a desire for comfort and security battling with an inexplicable yearning for deeper meaning. Behind the scenes of their practical, achievement-oriented lives runs a spiritual current asking, "How can I serve others with what I possess?" This question represents their core transformation path, learning to channel material success toward higher purposes. The cosmic orchestration becomes even more fascinating with the 1960s generation. These revolutionary souls arrived with an unmistakable thirst for freedom, but the hidden truth is that this thirst wasn't random. Many were breaking free from karmic prisons they themselves had created through pride or excessive control in previous incarnations. Perhaps they were once the rigid enforcers of rules they now rebel against. Their spiritual curriculum involves the delicate alchemy of transforming raw rebellion into conscious awakening, learning that true freedom comes through inner liberation rather than external resistance. Those whose souls chose the 1970s as their entry point came with what Cayce described as bridge missions. These spirits exist at a unique crossroads between paradigms, the old world fading and a new consciousness struggling to emerge. What's particularly revealing about this generation is that many previously belonged to religious orders or lived in spiritual isolation. In past lives, they might have been monks in Tibetan monasteries, nuns in medieval convents, or hermits in desert caves. Now they face the challenge of bringing that secluded spiritual wisdom into the bustling marketplace of modern life. The 1970s child often feels this tension acutely, a sensation of being spiritually sensitive in a materially focused world. Their impact comes not from withdrawing from society, but from integrating their natural contemplative tendencies with active participation in everyday life. They're cosmic translators, helping to make ancient wisdom accessible in contemporary language. Understanding these patterns brings a profound shift in self-perception. The recurring challenges in your life aren't random obstacles, but carefully designed opportunities for soul evolution. The natural talents that seem to flow through you effortlessly might be abilities cultivated across multiple lifetimes, now ready to be expressed in new forms. If you're beginning to see the invisible threads connecting your current life challenges to this greater tapestry, type in the comments, "I'm awakening to my soul contract." The decade-specific patterns we're exploring might be illuminating aspects of your own spiritual journey in ways you never expected. When we look at the souls who chose the 1980s as their entry point, we witness a fascinating phenomenon in the spiritual landscape. This decade generated what Edgar Cayce described as a restless collective soul, characterized by a tendency toward excess. The blueprint of this generation reveals something remarkable. Many of these spirits experience profound imbalances in previous incarnations. They may have fallen into addictions to power as military leaders or politicians, surrendered to sensual excesses as members of royal courts, or lost themselves in illusions of grandeur in past civilizations. Their journey in this lifetime involves a powerful recalibration process. The 1980s child often experiences an internal tug-of-war between material desires and spiritual yearnings. This isn't coincidental, but reflects a soul-level commitment to emotional healing. Their unique challenge involves transforming their natural intensity from potential self-destruction into authentic self-discovery. The materialism and excess that defined their birth decade serves as the perfect catalyst for this profound inner work. The spiritual architecture becomes even more intricate with the 1990s souls. These are what Cayce identified as volunteer spirits, beings who willingly chose Earth incarnation despite having limited previous experience here. Many arrived from different vibrational realms, bringing extraordinary sensitivity and perception. What distinguishes this generation is that their karma isn't rooted in ancient earthly pain, but in the challenge of adaptation. Their spiritual curriculum involves maintaining their innate purity while navigating a world that often feels foreign to their essential nature. Become part of our spiritual family by subscribing now. We explore profound revelations like these that can transform how you understand your soul's journey across lifetimes. A 1990s child might experience this as a persistent feeling of not belonging, a sense of homesickness for a place they can't quite name. Their impact comes through their ability to introduce higher frequencies into everyday interactions, often without even realizing the transformative effect they have on others. They're cosmic ambassadors carrying messages their souls volunteered to deliver. Perhaps most remarkable are those who selected the 2000s for their arrival. According to Cayce's insights, these are paradoxical beings, young spirits in Earth, terms, but ancient souls in cosmic evolution. They embody a profound spiritual paradox, wisdom beyond their years paired with childlike openness to possibility. These souls didn't incarnate primarily for personal growth, but accepted a collective mission to establish new patterns of consciousness less dominated by ego structures. The 2000s generation carries an intuitive understanding of unity consciousness that earlier generations often struggled to grasp intellectually. Their natural mindset tends toward collaboration rather than competition, integration rather than separation. The unique challenge these old, young souls face is maintaining equilibrium in a world still largely operating under outdated paradigms. Their journey involves anchoring higher frequencies without becoming overwhelmed by denser energies surrounding them. Understanding these generational patterns offers a profound key to self-discovery. If you've always felt like your soul carries a specific mission connected to your birth timing, type in the comments, "I recognize my generational purpose." The unique vibrational signature of your birth decade continues to shape your spiritual journey in ways that are only now coming into focus. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and explore the vibrational science behind your soul's timing. Edgar Cayce revealed an extraordinary cosmic mechanism. The spiritual plane actually emits a new vibrational tone approximately every decade, creating a unique frequency landscape that attracts souls requiring precisely those experiences. This isn't abstract theory, but a profound hidden truth that explains why certain challenges have pursued you without apparent reason. That inexplicable sadness, the recurring relationship pattern, or the persistent struggle that seems woven into your life's fabric. These aren't random hardships, but resonant frequencies your soul was specifically drawn to for its evolution. Think of it as a form of spiritual magnetism. Just as a tuning fork vibrates in response to its matching frequency, your soul responded to the exact vibrational signature of your birth decade. This explains why people born within the same 10-year period often share certain collective challenges despite vastly different circumstances. The core frequency of that decade calls forth souls needing precisely those catalysts for their growth. What's particularly revelatory about Cayce's insights is the understanding that some souls actually request to incarnate during especially difficult historical periods. This represents a profound shift in mindset about suffering. Rather than victims of circumstance, these spirits are courageous volunteers who specifically chose challenging environments as accelerated growth opportunities. They understood a universal principle. Just as diamonds form only under intense pressure, certain spiritual qualities develop only through profound challenge. The soul approaching incarnation makes this decision with full awareness, recognizing that the fastest path to awakening often leads through the valley rather than around it. This cosmic perspective transforms how we view hardship. What appears as misfortune from our limited human vantage point may actually be a carefully selected training ground for spiritual mastery. Your birth decade carries precisely the challenges your soul promised to face before incarnating. This isn't punishment or random fate, but a curriculum you helped design. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, your higher self collaborated with spiritual guides to select exactly the right time period that would provide the necessary conditions for your soul's evolution. The specific patterns of your decade, whether economic uncertainty, social upheaval, technological revolution, or cultural transformation, create the perfect backdrop for the precise lessons your spirit needs. This revelation offers a profound shift in perception. When you recognize that difficulty isn't punishment but opportunity, everything changes. Pain, when approached with wisdom rather than resistance, becomes a bridge to higher consciousness. The very challenges that seem to limit you become the exact conditions for your spiritual expansion. Imagine the impact of viewing your life's most difficult chapters not as cosmic accidents, but as purposeful assignments your soul specifically selected. This doesn't diminish suffering, but infuses it with meaning. Every challenge contains encoded within it the exact lesson your spirit came to master. Every decade vibrates with specific frequencies that activate precisely the growth your soul requires. If you're beginning to recognize how the timing of your birth was divinely orchestrated for your highest evolution, write in the comments, "I embrace my soul's chosen timeline." The synchronicity between your inner journey and the decade that welcomed you holds keys to understanding your deeper purpose. Edgar Cayce's revelations about spiritual justice offer a profound shift in how we understand the orchestration of our lives. What appears random through a limited human lens is actually precise cosmic choreography. Souls who misuse knowledge, power, or resources in previous incarnations aren't punished in a traditional sense. Instead, they're strategically repositioned in time periods that provide perfect balance. This divine orchestration represents the universe's remarkable restoration system. A spirit who once wielded excessive authority might incarnate during times of revolution or upheaval, experiencing firsthand what it means to live without privilege or control. This isn't punishment, but profound education. Your birth decade represents the exact setting where your previous spiritual storyline was interrupted, perhaps at a crucial turning point or an unresolved challenge. The cosmic director hasn't abandoned the script, but merely inserted an intermission, allowing your soul to return with fresh perspective. The decade you entered becomes the stage where your interrupted story continues with new possibilities for transformation. The revelation becomes even more fascinating when we consider how different historical periods attract specific soul types. Those who arrived during times of societal crisis, wars, depressions, revolutions, often bring what Cayce described as warrior spirit energy. These souls possess natural resilience, determination, and courage precisely because they're designed for challenging environments. Their spiritual DNA contains coded instructions for navigating turbulence and creating order from chaos. Conversely, those who incarnate during relatively peaceful, stable periods often carry missions centered on wisdom cultivation and knowledge dissemination. Their soul blueprint contains instructions for deepening understanding rather than surviving crisis. Neither path is superior. They represent different but equally valuable spiritual curriculums. The cosmic intelligence positions each soul precisely where they can both grow most significantly and serve most effectively. This divine positioning system operates with remarkable precision. You aren't accidentally misplaced in history, but perfectly situated for your unique journey. The exact cultural, technological, economic, and social conditions of your birth decade create the ideal laboratory for your soul's specific evolution. Even if you've felt out of place, that discomfort itself might be a crucial catalyst for the awareness your spirit seeks to develop. Perhaps most profound is the understanding that present experience actually heals past karma when approached with humility. Some souls incarnate specifically to experience loss because they once took excessively from others. The business person who exploited resources in a previous life might return during economic hardship, not as punishment, but as an opportunity to develop compassion, generosity, and resource wisdom. Others arrive to learn love because they previously caused hurt. The once cruel military leader might return as a healer, transforming old patterns of harm into new pathways of service. This perspective offers extraordinary liberation from victim consciousness. Your current challenges aren't random misfortunes, but precisely calibrated opportunities for soul-level healing. The specific difficulties characteristic of your birth decade, whether technological disruption, economic uncertainty, or social transformation, create the perfect conditions for resolving karmic patterns that have followed your soul across centuries. If you're beginning to recognize how your present challenges might be addressing unresolved aspects from your soul's journey across time, share in the comments. I see the healing pattern now. The decade that welcomed your arrival continues unfolding its wisdom through every experience that shapes you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and unveil what Edgar Cayce called the liberation script. Your birth decade isn't merely a time marker. It's the beginning of a profound spiritual document your soul is writing in this lifetime. This cosmic blueprint contains within it the exact formula for your freedom from patterns that may have followed you across centuries. The moment you arrived on Earth initiated a sequence of revelations designed specifically for your awakening. What makes this understanding so transformative is recognizing that many of our most persistent challenges are what Cayce described as silent karmas. These aren't openly visible in your life circumstances, but operate beneath the surface. Nameless pains that seem to have no source, fears that arise without apparent cause, and repeating patterns that persist despite your conscious efforts to change them. These silent karmas aren't punishments but signposts, guiding you toward the precise healing your soul came to experience. The journey toward self-discovery takes an even more fascinating turn when we understand the electromagnetic nature of spiritual attraction. Your soul carries its own unique magnetic field that resonated precisely with the energy signature of your birth decade. This isn't metaphorical, but represents an actual vibrational synchronicity that explains some of your most inexplicable reactions to the world around you. Have you ever wondered why certain melodies bring tears to your eyes without explanation? Why specific historical periods fascinate you beyond reason? Or why particular environments trigger unexpected fear or comfort? This isn't random emotional response, but your soul recognizing frequencies it has encountered before. The music that moves you without apparent reason might be awakening cellular memory from a previous incarnation. The historical era that captivates your imagination might represent a time your spirit once inhabited. You're not discovering new territory, but rediscovering the forgotten edges of yourself. Behind the scenes of physical reality, the spiritual world operates with what Cayce described as surgical precision in composing each generation. Souls aren't randomly assigned to time periods, but carefully grouped according to vibrational affinity and collective purpose. Your birth decade represents both an individual journey and participation in a group soul mission. You arrived with others who share certain karmic patterns, learning needs, and evolutionary trajectories, a spiritual cohort designed to both challenge and support one another. This perspective reveals your birth decade as both cradle and mirror, the nurturing environment that received your soul and the reflecting surface showing exactly where you need to develop strength and practice forgiveness. The collective challenges characteristic of your generation, whether technological disruption, social transformation, economic uncertainty, or cultural revolution, weren't accidental, but precisely calibrated to activate specific aspects of your soul's development. Understanding this hidden architecture of time reveals the extraordinary blueprint underlying your life journey. The decade that welcomed you wasn't random, but represented a meticulously designed entry point for your soul's specific evolutionary needs. The persistent patterns that have followed you aren't accidents, but invitations to profound transformation. If you're starting to recognize how the timing of your birth contains encoded wisdom about your soul's journey, write in the comments, "I'm decoding my spiritual timeline." The vibrational signature of your birth decade continues offering clues to your deepest purpose. Let me take you deeper into the remarkable spiritual architecture of specific generations, starting with those born in the 1930s. This decade, marked by profound economic instability and global uncertainty, wasn't randomly populated with souls. According to Edgar Cayce's revelations, this era specifically attracted spirits carrying karmic patterns connected to authority imbalance. Many who entered during these turbulent years had previously exercised power in unbalanced ways, perhaps as uncompromising rulers, controlling patriarchs, or rigid authority figures. The hidden wisdom in this cosmic arrangement becomes clear when we understand the transformative journey these souls embarked upon. By incarnating into a decade defined by instability, loss, and necessary reconstruction, they created the perfect laboratory for developing qualities that had eluded them in previous lifetimes, genuine humility and authentic solidarity. Through experiencing firsthand what it means to have security stripped away, these spirits could transform ancient patterns of dominance into new capacities for compassion. The spiritual blueprint shifts dramatically when we examine the 1940s generation. This period welcomed souls with a fundamentally different karmic signature, many who had been passive in previous incarnations. Their soul journey often included lifetimes where they witnessed injustice but remained silent, observed suffering but remained uninvolved. The cosmic curriculum designed for these spirits involved situations requiring profound courage, decisive action, and unwavering faith. The 1940s child often carries this invisible backstory, a soul learning that neutrality in the face of injustice creates its own karmic pattern. Their journey in this incarnation frequently includes scenarios that make fence-sitting impossible, forcing the development of moral courage that may have been deferred across multiple lifetimes. This reveals a profound revelation about spiritual justice. The universe doesn't punish passivity, but eventually creates circumstances where active participation becomes unavoidable. A fascinating shift occurs when we explore those born in the 1970s. These spirits navigate a unique dilemma between spiritual awareness and material reality, a tension that isn't coincidental but purposefully chosen. Many are what Cayce described as old souls, returning with specific missions to remember and demonstrate authentic love amid increasingly technological and materialistic societies. Their journey often involves rediscovering ancient wisdom while remaining fully engaged with modern life. What's particularly revelatory about this generation is that many carry natural, mediumistic, or intuitive abilities they've forgotten how to access. Their sensitivity hasn't disappeared, but lies dormant beneath layers of social conditioning and practical demands. The 1970s soul often experiences this as an inexplicable feeling of missing something essential, a spiritual homesickness that can't be addressed through material acquisition. This blueprint reveals how precisely the cosmic intelligence matches souls with time periods. Your birth decade wasn't randomly assigned, but represents a carefully designed environment for addressing your spirit's specific evolutionary needs. The persistent challenges, characteristic of your generation, aren't accidents, but invitations to develop precisely the qualities your soul seeks to embody. If you're recognizing patterns from your birth decade that seem to mirror your deepest personal challenges, share in the comments. I'm seeing my generational purpose, the cosmic intelligence that positioned your soul in its perfect time period, continues orchestrating opportunities for your awakening. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and reveal the unique spiritual signatures of more recent decades. The 1980s emerges in Edgar Cayce's readings as what he called a time of masks. This decade created the perfect environment for souls with a specific transformational journey ahead. Many who incarnated during this period arrived with profound missions centered on authenticity, but found themselves navigating a landscape dominated by surface appearances. The materialistic energy signature of the 1980s wasn't a cosmic mistake, but a deliberately crafted classroom for these spirits. Many souls born during this decade carried karmic patterns from past lives where external beauty, status symbols, and surface impressions dominated their experience. Perhaps they were courtiers in Versailles, members of aristocratic families where appearance determined worth, or individuals whose physical attributes became their primary identity. Their journey in this incarnation involves the profound revelation that true value has nothing to do with packaging. The very excess and image consciousness that defined their birth decade creates the perfect catalyst for this essential mindset revolution. The spiritual blueprint shifts dramatically when we examine the 1990s generation. According to Cayce's insights, their core challenge revolves around connection in an increasingly disconnected world. These sensitive souls, many newly arrived from other spiritual dimensions, came with minimal Earth experience, but carrying extraordinary vibrational gifts. Their journey isn't about resolving ancient karmic wounds, but about adapting to physical reality without losing their innate spiritual awareness. The 1990s child often experiences this as a persistent feeling of displacement, a sense of being a cosmic visitor rather than a permanent resident. Their impact comes through their natural capacity for compassion, their intuitive understanding of spiritual principles, and their instinctive simplicity. Yet to fulfill their mission, they must first overcome what Cayce identified as the fear of belonging, the concern that full engagement with Earth life might compromise their essential nature. Perhaps most liberating is Cayce's revelation about feeling born in the wrong time. This common sensation, the persistent sense of being mismatched with your era, isn't actually a cosmic mistake, but indicates you're precisely where you need to be for spiritual purification. Some souls specifically request incarnation in environments that feel foreign to their essential nature, because this discomfort itself catalyzes growth that couldn't occur in more comfortable settings. This perspective offers profound freedom from the feeling of being cosmically misplaced. The decade isn't your prison, but your workshop. You aren't the passive victim of time, but its active collaborator. As Cayce often emphasized, the spirit isn't confined by temporal limitations, but uses them as transformative tools. The very discomfort you feel with your era may be the exact friction needed to polish aspects of your being that would otherwise remain dormant. Understanding these patterns reveals how your birth decade represents not random timing, but deliberate positioning. The unique challenges characteristic of your generation weren't accidents, but precisely calibrated invitations to develop specific aspects of your spiritual potential. If you felt out of step with your time period, consider this profound possibility. I'm exactly when I need to be for my soul's evolution. If this perspective resonates with your experience, share in the comments. I trust my soul's timing. Your temporal placement continues offering opportunities for awakening that no other decade could provide. Let me reveal another fascinating layer of Edgar Cayce's insights about spiritual timing. Those who find themselves born during periods of economic scarcity or material limitation aren't experiencing cosmic bad luck. According to Cayce's revelations, many of these souls previously lived lives marked by resource hoarding, excessive accumulation, or unjust distribution of wealth. Perhaps they were merchants who profited unfairly, landowners who exploited tenants, or individuals who accumulated far beyond their needs while others suffered. Their journey in this incarnation involves experiencing the opposite pole, not as punishment, but as profound education in generosity. By knowing firsthand what deprivation feels like, these souls develop compassion that theoretical understanding alone could never provide. Similarly, spirits who once lived, surrounded by unbalanced luxury, often choose rebirth in simpler circumstances to rediscover what truly matters. This cosmic rebalancing represents not divine retribution, but perfect spiritual education. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and explore Cayce's most transformative revelation. All pain has a spiritual origin. The specific challenges characteristic of your birth decade, combined with formative experiences in your early life, aren't random hardships, but create the exact terrain where your karmic patterns can surface and be healed. Your difficult childhood, the economic uncertainties of your generation, the cultural limitations you faced, all represent perfect catalysts for addressing soul-level patterns that have persisted across lifetimes. This understanding offers extraordinary liberation from resistance. When you recognize that your history isn't something to fight against, but contains precisely the ingredients needed for your spiritual evolution, everything shifts. The mindset transformation comes through recognizing these patterns not as punishment, but as opportunity. Each difficulty precisely calibrated to activate healing of specific soul wounds. This doesn't diminish suffering, but infuses it with profound purpose. Behind the scenes of physical reality, your birth represents far more than a date on a calendar. It's what Cayce described as your cosmic signature. This unique energetic imprint connects you with thousands of others who incarnated during the same period, creating a soul cohort with similar developmental needs but distinct individual missions. The decade itself serves as a collective classroom where spirits with related learning requirements can evolve together, challenging and supporting one another through shared generational experiences. What's particularly revelatory is understanding the deliberate nature of this timing. Your soul didn't randomly enter this time frame, but carefully selected it in collaboration with spiritual guides. The specific cultural conditions, technological developments, social challenges, and collective consciousness of your decade weren't accidental, but represented the perfect vibrational environment for your specific journey. Even seemingly random details of your generation's experience were precisely orchestrated to provide exactly what your spirit needed for its evolution. This perspective transforms how you view both your personal history and the broader patterns of your generation. Rather than accidental placement in time, your birth decade represents deliberate positioning within the exact vibrational field most conducive to your spiritual growth. If you're beginning to recognize how the specific challenges of your generation might be addressing unresolved aspects of your soul's journey, share in the comments. I honor my soul's chosen timing. Your cosmic signature continues, revealing its profound wisdom through every experience that shapes you. One of Edgar Cayce's most profound revelations turns conventional wisdom on its head. Time itself doesn't automatically heal wounds. It educates the soul. This perspective transforms how we understand the passage of years and decades in our lives. Your birth decade isn't simply a random period, but functions as a highly specialized school with its own unique curriculum. The specific historical events, cultural shifts, technological developments, and collective challenges characteristic of your generation weren't accidental, but represented mandatory subjects in your soul's education. What makes this understanding so transformative is recognizing that ignoring these lessons doesn't exempt you from them. The spiritual principle at work here operates with remarkable precision. The soul will continue encountering similar patterns, often with increasing intensity, until the essential lesson is integrated. This isn't punishment but persistence. The universe doesn't give up on your evolution, even when you might temporarily resist it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and explore the relational dimension of your soul's journey. Many incarnations aren't primarily about individual growth, but involve what Cayce called mission-based purposes connected to other spirits. Your soul may have specifically chosen this time period to rescue someone, complete unfinished business from a previous lifetime, or participate in the liberation of another being with whom you share karmic ties. These missions often explain otherwise inexplicable relationships in your life. The immediate connection with certain individuals, the persistent conflict with others, or the sense of responsibility you feel towards someone without apparent reason. The timing of your birth plays a crucial role in these soul-level connections. The specific decade creates the perfect setting for these karmic reunions to unfold. Parents, siblings, partners, colleagues, even seeming strangers who profoundly impact your journey. These relationships weren't randomly assembled, but carefully orchestrated. The decade itself becomes part of the tie binding these souls together in their shared evolutionary journey. This perspective offers extraordinary insight into the true nature of your current challenges. The pain you experience today may be echoing choices made not just years, but lifetimes ago. Birth itself isn't the beginning of your story, but merely a continuation of a much larger spiritual narrative. You exist within an expansive cycle of experience that extends far beyond your current identity and circumstances. Your decade of arrival serves as a portal, reconnecting you with your original spiritual blueprint. Understanding this continuity transforms how you approach difficult patterns in your life. The persistent relationship challenge, the recurring financial struggle, the health issue that seems to have no apparent cause. These aren't random misfortunes, but precise echoes of unresolved aspects from your soul's extended journey. When approached with this awareness, each challenge becomes not an obstacle to happiness, but an opportunity for profound resolution. Your birth decade acts as a cosmic positioning system, placing you exactly where and when your soul can best address its unfinished spiritual business. The specific vibration of that era resonates with precise aspects of your karmic patterns, creating the perfect conditions for their revelation and potential healing. Nothing about your temporal placement was accidental. Every detail was calibrated to support your soul's evolution. If you're beginning to sense how today's challenges might be connected to a much larger spiritual timeline, extending beyond your current incarnation, share in the comments. I recognize my soul's continuity. The decade that welcomed your arrival continues revealing its deeper purpose through the specific patterns. You're now being invited to transform. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and explore what Edgar Cayce revealed about the vibrational nature of temporal choice. Reincarnating in a specific year isn't simply a matter of random timing, but represents entering a precisely calibrated vibrational field. According to Cayce's insights, your spirit wasn't blind to what would unfold during your lifetime. Before incarnation, your soul reviewed the major events, collective challenges, and cultural transformations that would characterize your birth decade and accepted them with full awareness. This perspective transforms how we understand historical positioning. Your spirit wasn't simply born into a certain time, but deliberately chose that specific vibrational environment for its unique frequencies. Every decade carries what Cayce called a collective wound, a shared challenge or limitation that defines that generation's experience. The 1930s confronted economic collapse. The 1940s faced global conflict, the 1950s navigated post-war reconstruction, and so on. These collective wounds aren't cosmic accidents, but precisely designed invitations to healing on both collective and individual levels. What's particularly revelatory is understanding that linear time doesn't constrain spiritual evolution. Your soul could incarnate in the 1980s while carrying karmic patterns that originated millennia ago. The modern banker working through issues with wealth may be addressing patterns that began in ancient Rome. The contemporary artist struggling with recognition might be resolving creative blocks that originated in Renaissance Italy. Your spirit exists beyond temporal limitations, selecting each incarnation as a specific workshop for addressing precise aspects of its extended journey. This explains one of the most mysterious human experiences, feeling inexplicable nostalgia for eras you never physically lived through. That strange recognition you feel when encountering certain historical periods, architectural styles, or cultural traditions isn't random, but represents what Cayce called soul memory. Your spirit recognizing frequencies it has encountered before. When you feel drawn to Victorian aesthetics without apparent reason or experience unexpected emotional responses to Celtic music, your soul is essentially saying, "I was there." These subtle memories disguise themselves as inexplicable affinities. The orchestration becomes even more precise when we understand how your decade coordinates specific encounters. The parents who welcomed you, the siblings who shared your childhood, the romantic partners who transformed you, even the apparent strangers who appeared at crucial moments, none arrived in your experience by chance. According to Cayce's insights, these reunions are marked with millimetric precision, with souls agreeing to reconvene at specific temporal coordinates to continue work begun in previous incarnations. This cosmic choreography explains why certain relationships feel immediately familiar, while others trigger inexplicable reactions. The immediate trust you feel with someone you just met might reflect ancient soul recognition. The persistent conflict with a family member might represent unfinished business from a shared past. Behind the scenes of physical reality, an intelligence beyond comprehension orchestrates these encounters through the specific frequency of your birth decade. If you've experienced powerful connections that seem to transcend ordinary relationship dynamics, perhaps feeling like you've known someone forever despite just meeting them, share in the comments. I recognize my soul agreements. The vibrational field of your birth decade continues orchestrating reunions designed for your highest evolution. One of Edgar Cayce's most profound revelations cuts to the heart of spiritual accountability. No matter how many times we change our external circumstances, country, name, physical appearance, we never escape from consciousness itself. The spirit remains continuous despite its shifting outer garments. This fundamental truth transforms how we understand our relationship with time. The decade of your incarnation brings what Cayce called the perfect mirror, reflecting precisely the aspects of yourself that require recognition and integration. When you finally face this mirror without resistance, the healing journey begins in earnest. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and explore time's dual nature as both teacher and mirror. This perspective offers extraordinary liberation from viewing difficult experiences as punishment or random misfortune. Each decade vibrates with specific frequencies designed to illuminate particular aspects of consciousness. When approached with compassion rather than resistance, time reveals your soul gently but persistently, asking for reconciliation with aspects of itself that have remained fragmented across centuries. The hidden truth behind the scenes of physical reality is that souls incarnating in identical years may arrive with entirely different missions. Two spirits born on the same day in the same hospital might carry profoundly different purposes, one arriving specifically to teach, another to learn. One entering with advanced awareness to serve as catalyst for others, another arriving with specific karmic patterns requiring resolution. The external circumstances may appear identical, but the internal journey differs dramatically based on each soul's evolutionary needs. This revelation transforms how you understand your life journey. When karma is finally recognized, not as punishment but as opportunity, what Cayce called grace naturally enters your experience. This grace doesn't eliminate challenges, but infuses them with profound meaning and purpose. Some souls specifically incarnate to break destructive family patterns that have persisted across generations, perhaps being the first to overcome addiction, abuse, or limitation that has haunted their lineage. Others arrive to continue spiritual legacies, preserving wisdom, creative gifts, or service traditions that might otherwise be lost. What's particularly revelatory is understanding that these missions aren't necessarily declared, but lived. The most profound spiritual work often happens quietly, without fanfare or external recognition. Those who incarnate at precisely the right moment to fulfill their spiritual commitments often do so in silence, known only to the cosmic intelligence that orchestrated their arrival. Their impact ripples through time, not through proclamation, but through presence and consistent action, aligned with their soul's deepest knowing. Your birth decade wasn't random fate or cosmic accident, but represents a deliberate choice made by your soul with remarkable courage and humility. Each decade represents not just a time period, but a specific calling that resonates with certain spirits. Each birth isn't merely a biological event, but a spiritual promise to engage fully with the specific lessons that time period offers. Your presence here carries both light and shadow, gifts cultivated across multiple lifetimes and challenges that persist until resolved. What makes this understanding so transformative is recognizing that the key to your liberation isn't found in escaping your circumstances, but in fully embracing their spiritual significance. If you're beginning to recognize your birth timing as a deliberate choice rather than cosmic coincidence, write in the comments, "I embrace my soul's timeline." The decade that welcomed your arrival continues revealing its wisdom through every experience that shapes your journey. As we come to this sacred pause in our exploration, I invite you to sit with what has resonated most deeply. The vibrational signature of your birth decade continues to unfold its wisdom throughout your lifetime, not as limitation, but as invitation to profound awakening. Your soul's deliberate choice of timing wasn't random, but represents precisely the environment needed for your highest evolution. If the insights shared today have illuminated aspects of your own journey, consider becoming part of our spiritual family by subscribing. Each week, we delve into these hidden dimensions of consciousness, exploring the invisible architecture behind your physical experience. The wisdom of Edgar Cayce offers extraordinary keys to understanding patterns that may have followed you across lifetimes. I'd love to know what resonated most deeply with you. If you've made it to this point in our journey together, leave a comment with the words, "I honor my soul's timeline," so I'll know this message found its way to those who needed it most. Your comment creates ripples that reach others walking similar paths. That gentle nudge you feel to tap the like button, that's not just algorithm support. It's acknowledging the exchange of energy that happens when wisdom resonates with your spirit. Each like creates a small energetic connection between souls seeking similar understanding. There's another dimension to this conversation waiting for you in our exploration of how your past lives influence your current relationships. The soul agreements we touched on here go much deeper in that journey. Click and continue with me there as we uncover how the bonds that matter most to you today may have roots stretching across centuries of shared experience.